I walk into the family gathering, and immediately the air hits me like ice. Tension coils around every conversation, every laugh, every sideways glance. I can feel the stares before a single word is spoken, sharp and cold. My aunt stands near the corner, shoulders hunched, a quiet target under a storm of whispers that travel faster than the eye can follow. Accusations hover in the room, naming her as the cause of the fight, painting her as guilty before anyone even hears her side. A family friend leans across the room, voice dripping with casual cruelty, loud enough for everyone to hear. "She's always causing drama." The words echo, bouncing off walls and cutting through the air like a blade. I notice the flash of shock on her face, followed by shame so thick it makes her look smaller than she is. Her hands tremble slightly, clutching a delicate teacup as if it could shield her from the weight of every eye in the room. "Wow!" My uncle steps forward, scolding her with a precision that feels like it was rehearsed for maximum humiliation. Each word lands, sharp and deliberate, and I feel my stomach knot tighter as the room collectively turns on her. Laughter hides in the corners, whispers sharpen into pointed comments, and suddenly she is a spectacle. Someone snaps a photo of her teary face and my heart sinks. I know it will circulate online, twisted into proof of a story that isn't hers. The youngest cousin mutters loudly, too young to fully understand but eager to point a finger. It's all her fault. She broke the family apart. The words sting, echoing louder than any adult could have said. The humiliation escalates. Relatives begin recounting old mistakes, twisting small events from the past to fit the narrative of her guilt today. Every story, every anecdote is a dagger in disguise. I catch her eyes across the room, pleading silently, and the pain in her gaze cuts deeper than any insult thrown by words. Finally, she is forced to leave the room. Head lowered, whispers follow her like vultures circling a wounded animal. I try to intervene, to speak, to demand the whispers stop, but my voice is swallowed by the collective judgment of the family. Every glance, every smirk, every shallow apology is a knife, slicing through the years of shared love, of quiet sacrifices she made for everyone. The room feels heavier with each passing second, thick with betrayal. I know this moment will define her in their eyes forever, the lie written in every whispered conversation. And yet, I see her dignity flicker in small movements, in her quiet resistance, the ember that no shame can truly extinguish. I think about my aunt, and my chest tightens with a mix of sorrow and rage. She has carried burdens no one ever thanked her for, sacrifices invisible to the family that now judges her. Memories rush back, her arms around me when I was small, whispering words of comfort, shielding me from harsh truths I wasn't ready to hear. She always put others first, hiding the cracks in our lives that could have swallowed us whole. I remember discovering later how she quietly handled financial troubles for my parents, taking on their debts, their mistakes, their guilt, without ever uttering a word of complaint. She bore it alone, smiling through the strain, holding the family together when no one else had the courage or the sense to intervene. She had always been the peacemaker, the glue in every argument, the voice of calm that no one appreciated until it was gone. I recall nights I knew nothing of when she cried alone in her room, muffling sobs so no one could hear. Her dreams, ambitions, little sparks of her own life were set aside again and again, sacrificed on the altar of family comfort. And yet the world saw only her composure, her kindness, and mistook it for weakness, a naive softness to exploit. I remember the first time she was publicly shamed over a minor disagreement, and I saw her dignity crack, but not break. That humiliation lingered, a silent mark on her spirit. I think of my cousin, the betrayal still raw, the lies whispered, the manipulation to gain favor, to plant doubt where none should exist. The pattern becomes undeniable. Every insult, Every humiliation, every sideways glance was never accidental. It was calculated, deliberate, executed by the people closest to her. My heart burns with anger, sharp and searing, but beneath it is sorrow for the weight she has carried silently all these years. I see now how her patience, her grace, her restraint were exploited at every turn, misunderstood as weakness rather than strength. Her words echo in my mind. Sometimes silence is the only weapon until the time is right. That silence was her armor, her strategy, waiting for the moment when truth would rise. And I vow silently but fiercely that her truth will be revealed, that the lies, the betrayal, the years of manipulation will crumble under the weight of undeniable justice. Her story will no longer be whispered behind closed doors. It will be seen, felt, and finally honored. I begin quietly, methodically, gathering evidence that no one expected me to find. Old messages, emails, and witnesses who remember the truth but have stayed silent out of fear. Each piece is a fragment of the reality everyone has tried to bury, a puzzle that will expose the lies built around her. Meanwhile, I notice the whispers. Family members lean close, murmuring behind hands, spinning the story further, sharpening the blade of public opinion against her. Their words try to cage her, but I can see the cracks forming in their confidence. The cousin who accused her so boldly flaunts their influence, smirking at anyone who dares question them. "Don't get involved," they say with a wink, as if their power alone could rewrite reality. But I refuse to step back. I start confronting small betrayals one by one, testing reactions, feeling the tension in the room, gauging who wields power and who only pretends to. My subtle challenges, casual remarks at gatherings, begin to unsettle the narrative. The air grows thick, charged, as my presence quietly shifts the balance. My aunt watches me carefully, caution shadowing her eyes, fear mixing with a fragile hope as I share tiny pieces of evidence with her. Each revelation strengthens her resolve, flickering courage igniting in a place long buried under humiliation. Despite this, attempts to humiliate her continue. Public jabs, cutting whispers, eyes that judge her every move. They force her to retreat further, but she is no longer alone. I gather allies, people who have silently admired her strength but feared speaking out. Slowly, the tide begins to turn. The story of the family fight has spread beyond our walls, reaching extended relatives, friends, even whispers online. I map out every pattern, the lies, the contradictions, the exaggerations, preparing for the moment when all will be revealed. I see her gaining strength in tiny increments, each flicker of courage mirrored in her eyes as she watches me act as a shield. Subtle sabotage begins in her favor, small victories that unsettle her accusers, but the pressure remains relentless. Every new gathering becomes a high-stakes test. I maneuver carefully, protecting her while dropping tiny truths into conversation, unraveling the web of deception thread by thread. The anticipation coils tighter with each passing moment, a decisive revelation looming on the horizon, one that cannot be ignored, one that will shatter the lies and finally restore her honor. The phone rings, piercing the quiet of the evening, and I see the lawyer's name flash on the screen, someone who has tracked family disputes with a precision no one else possesses. I answer, and suddenly, evidence I had overlooked becomes pivotal. A recording, a signed letter, witness testimony, all pieces that can no longer be ignored. My aunt hesitates, fear flickering in her eyes, shadows of years of humiliation haunting her. "We have to do this now," I insist, voice firm. "The truth has waited long enough." She nods slowly, the weight of dread mixed with a fragile hope. We schedule a meeting at the lawyer's office. The air is thick, tension palpable, as if the walls themselves anticipate the confrontation. The opposing family member enters, smug, expecting the usual performance, another scene of humiliation where my aunt is the scapegoat. The lawyer begins systematically, laying out every piece of evidence with surgical precision. Each lie, each manipulation, each contradiction is highlighted, stripped bare. Gasps ripple through the room as truths long buried emerge, impossible to deny. I watch my aunt carefully. Her strength begins to shine through the fear, her words measured, calm, dignified, reclaiming authority over her own story. A cousin attempts to interrupt, but the lawyer controls the room firmly, leaving no room for obstruction. Disbelief paints the faces of those who judged her unfairly. The shift is undeniable. The tide has turned. I see her standing taller, a quiet power radiating from her, the weight of years of false blame lifting slowly. By the time the meeting ends, the revelation has gone viral within the family. There is no room for denial, no shadow of manipulation, no lie strong enough to survive the truth laid bare. I feel it in my chest, the emotional weight easing, the knowledge that justice has finally begun, and my aunt's dignity, long suppressed, is finally restored. The lawyer's voice cuts through the tense silence, delivering the verdict that has been long awaited. My aunt is absolved of all blame. The true instigator is exposed, their lies laid bare, every false accusation crumbling under the weight of undeniable truth. I watch her as the accuser falters, their smug confidence shattered, the public embarrassment complete. Every stumble, every faltering glance, every silence magnified. It feels almost cinematic, every reaction etched into memory. Old allies, long silent, step forward now. Apologies spill from their lips, hesitant at first, then sincere, reinforcing her rightful place in the family she has protected for years. The financial misrepresentation is revealed, and the liar faces legal consequences that cannot be ignored. Family members who humiliated her are confronted individually. They are forced to acknowledge their mistakes, their complicity in spreading falsehoods, their participation in years of silent suffering. I orchestrate a public gathering, ensuring the truth is shared where it matters most. The weight of every lie, every manipulation, every humiliation is felt fully by those who once ignored it. My aunt speaks, her words few but powerful. Grace and dignity restore her image completely, leaving no shadow of doubt. The accuser's manipulations are traced, exposed, leaving them isolated, ashamed, unable to recover the credibility they once wielded. I feel a wave of vindication, the silent suffering of years finally transformed into public acknowledgement. Legal justice and emotional justice converge, a high-stakes triumph that no one expected. She is free at last from the shadow of blame. I see it in her eyes, empowerment, confidence, strength. The woman who endured whispers, ridicule, and betrayal now stands tall, finally claiming the dignity and respect she has always deserved. The family begins to shift, slowly realigning. Some remain bitter, clinging to old grudges, but others move with quiet remorse, their eyes downcast, acknowledging the truth they once ignored. My aunt retreats to her personal space, the door closing softly behind her, leaving her alone with the weight of everything she endured. Tears slip freely now, mingled with relief, a release years in the making. I watch her smile for the first time in years, a small, genuine curve of her lips that tells me healing has begun, that the shadow of constant humiliation is finally lifting. The accuser avoids eye contact, their confidence shattered, authority and dominance permanently eroded. The power they wielded through lies and whispers is gone, replaced by the bitter taste of exposure. I take careful note of her transformation, documenting the story of a woman who endured cruelty, humiliation, and betrayal, now rising as an empowered figure, her dignity fully restored. Financial and legal restitution is made, tangible proof of the justice long denied. It cements the victory, leaving no room for doubt or further manipulation. The whispers of judgment fade, replaced with cautious respect from those who once scorned her. Eyes that once judged now watch with acknowledgement, a silent nod to her strength. Our bond grows stronger, forged in shared struggle, a silent promise between us never to allow injustice to go unchallenged again. I notice subtle changes in her demeanor, the way she walks taller, speaks with quiet assertiveness, carries a protective aura that commands attention without aggression. Life begins to settle into a new normal, but the lesson lingers. Vigilance, truth, and the courage to stand for justice are eternal. The echoes of this ordeal remain etched in memory, a reminder that no lie can withstand the strength of a woman determined to reclaim her story. I want you to see this through my eyes, every heartbeat, every sting of humiliation, every whisper of betrayal. Imagine the weight of being falsely accused, the sharp pangs of judgment, the suffocating tension of a room turned against someone you love. I've lived it with her, and now I recount it to you with every detail, every moment magnified. The cost of silence becomes clear when you watch a life slowly overshadowed by lies. Evidence is power, but courage is its companion, the courage to stand for the wronged, to challenge the comfortable lies that keep injustice alive. Behind closed doors, struggles fester unseen. My aunt's pain was invisible to most, masked by patience and grace. These hidden battles are the silent wars many endure, and it takes someone willing to witness them to turn the tide. The moment her dignity is restored publicly, every gasp, every hesitant apology, every acknowledgement of truth, it's an emotional catharsis, a release years in the making. You feel the triumph, the weight lifted, the quiet victory of justice achieved. Justice is rarely instant. Truth surfaces slowly, often painfully, but it always finds its way. That lesson lingers, etched into the story, into every hesitant smile that finally emerges after long suffering. I urge you to see the power of empathy, to recognize the vigilance needed, to understand the importance of standing for loved ones even when the world turns its back. And yes, there are more stories, more hidden dynamics, more secrets yet to unfold. Every victory leaves questions, and every silence waits for a voice. So remember this: strength can be quiet, courage can be patient, and justice can arrive when least expected. Let it linger in your mind, let it stir in your heart, because the fight for truth never truly ends. Comment, share, reflect. Think of the moments in your own life where silence was easier than speaking, where truth was buried. Let this story remind you that courage and truth are always worth pursuing. And as the screen fades, feel the weight of what justice can do, the power of standing up, and the enduring value of integrity, leaving you with a mixture of satisfaction, hope, and anticipation for what comes next.